What's up, and welcome back to Nowstalgia Pod, your weekly look at what's going on in pop culture. My name is Patrick Sheehan. I am joined with a man who's still thriving, Dave Martinson. What's going on, man? Still striving, I guess, but I say you're thriving, Dave.
Yeah, striving, uh, always living long and prospering, all those ASAP adages. It's all good, man. I'm not a nice dragon.
Well, people have been talking about this. Is this going to be an ice-breathing dragon? Is this going to be a fire-breathing dragon? All I want to know is where do they get those chains, man?
Yes.
For real. Where'd they get those chains?
Those aren't wildling chains, so yeah,
No.
They just made them,
Yeah.
They killed some wild chains, and now they're chain white, so
Ridiculous.
it's fine. It's fine. There's a lot to critique, but that's honestly a very minor critique. Let's be honest.
Oh, definitely. We're going to jump right into Thrones, but we wanted to start off with a little shameless ask of our viewers. Please subscribe on iTunes and Spotify and wherever else you listen to this, but especially YouTube.
We're not on Spotify yet.
How are we not on Spotify yet?
You can't apply. You have to get asked. So if you give us some YouTube subs, that get us closer to Spotify. So
if you subscribe right here or there or somewhere, you'll help us out with that. And we'd like to be on Spotify, where Taylor Swift won't be. We're going to get to her as well. But circle back around Thrones. I mean, this episode had it was called Beyond the Wall. They might have gone a little out of their minds. Yeah. After this episode ended yesterday, like immediately after.
Yeah, the hot takes were flowing, man.
Yeah.
Man, people were just ready to Thrones is bad now. Like it was
for real.
Funny. It was pretty funny. Like I was like, you don't have to watch a TV show about high fantasy if you don't want to.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, logic apps aside, we kind of talked about the fallacy of the plan last week, the going beyond the wall to get a white to prove to Cersei that they need to team up. Yeah, kind of dumb. We went over that. And like you said, there's some weird things like the chains showing up. And obviously the time was as fluid as it's ever been in this episode, which again, I don't actually mind that much, although it was a stretch at many points.
Right.
Ice breaking deep beyond the wall, kind of implausible when winter is here. Ice probably shouldn't have broke, right? It should have been frozen solid, but whatever.
Well, how long did it stay broken? That was my whole thing, was how long were they on that rock?
That's the thing. They were on the rock a certain amount of time. Meanwhile, Gendry ran his 5K, got the Raven out. Then Dany read the Raven, got on a dragon, other two in tow, and they got all the way back up there. Dragons fly faster than a Raven, I assume. Meanwhile, everyone's just chilling. We lost Thoros due to exposure, so time did pass, but fluid, man, it's fine. I'm not waiting for no Ravens on this show.
No, but Thoros is also already in rough shape. So the timeline, I mean, I was talking with friend of the pod, Sean McKenna, about this afterwards. It's like, were they on that for like 24 hours? I mean, how long does it take that ice to refreeze over? I can't. But at the same time, Thoros died of exposure. Gendry got to the wall, or to Eastwatch. The Raven got to King's Landing, Dragonstone, and then Daenerys got back up all within what seemed like 3 hours.
Right.
I mean, it was. I thought the fight scenes were great. Again, seeing the dragons just blow apart the White Walkers when I'd be getting and not needed to necessarily do this basically suicide mission, or it seemed like a suicide mission. No one really died. I mean, Thoros died, but if you had to pick 3 people you wanted to make it out, probably Jon, Tormund, and probably Jorah, the Hound.
Yeah.
And everybody made it out.
I didn't think Beric was making it.
No way.
Him and Thoros were package deal. I guess keeping Gendry and Jorah around, you could argue for, sure. But I think back to people's criticisms, I think it's tough to accept the logic gaps that we're willing to accept when the plot feels so contrived and in this case dumb. Mm-hmm. So I understand that. At the same time, I'm okay to live with it. Yeah, it's a weaker episode of storytelling, and people also weren't a fan of the Arya Sansa exchange. Again, let's let it all play out.
Right.
I think my takeaway is that as we know when we talked about the expedited pace of this season 7, the show could have gone on many more years and then had a natural conclusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
But by speeding it up and ending the show faster, it's going to be a little sloppy. And we've seen it this season, and I'm okay with that. I'm excited for the finale. Going to get that game bowl.
Yeah, it seems that way. And to kind of circle back to I think I touched on that a little bit last week, how the show having to speed up is definitely condensing timelines, and it is making, there's more holes in the plot and the character development, just timelines, the way things happen. But this was something that if they didn't speed it up, they probably weren't going to be able to sustain the level of the show anyway, because these actors don't want to be doing this. So you had to basically say, like, okay, there's an end point to this for you guys, because you see that picture on Twitter all the time of them when they first started, they were basically babies. And now, like, Kit Harington looks like an old man compared to that photo.
And Isaac Hempstead writes a linebacker now,
Right, yeah, exactly. Any last thoughts from Game of Thrones?
Yeah, no, I thought that's a really good point. They wanted to end this, and like book Twitter was on fire. They love to tell you how much the books are better, and it's like, yeah, well, there's a thing called TV making, and sacrifice have to be made, and yeah, these actors don't want to do this the rest of their lives.
Right.
That's why the anthology shows are so popular. The 8-episode shows where you can do 8 episodes and be done, not be contractually obligated to do 80 episodes or something, right?
Right.
So I think they wanted to end this. Like,
definitely.
Cersei's not in the season that much. That's probably because they couldn't get Lena Headey. Probably didn't want to work as much as she used to on the show. Let's be real. But they're probably keeping her around for next season. Yeah. So you got to keep it in perspective when you think about the show. But it's gonna be a little sloppier and a little probably simpler as they end this, because the White Walkers are they're more of a one-dimensional threat. It's becoming more of normal fantasy than subverting everything we know about TV the first few seasons. It can't do that the whole time. So just accept that and you'll still enjoy the ride.
Absolutely. Also, shout out the Nice King. I mean, he basically threw that flat-footed on his heels, and he might have been able to throw one to the moon if he had actually stepped into that. That was a hell of a throw.
I knew the Jets cut Brandon Marshall and Decker for a reason. That's why.
Jumping off to something interesting that popped up the end of last week, I believe it was last Thursday. Disney and Star Wars, there's an Obi-Wan movie in very, very early development, with rumors that Stephen Daldry is going to be directing. And because it's so early, they don't even have anyone attached. They don't have a script. They don't have a script done, even begun. So this is very early. But Obi-Wan movie, what do you think? I mean, they have the Han Solo movie coming out next year. Was the next it's supposed to be May? They pushed it back, right?
They didn't push it back. We thought they should, but it's still May 2019.
Okay, right. So
sorry, 2018.
2018. I mean, what do you think about Obi-Wan standalone film?
This is something a lot of fans actually really wanted. A lot of people said, forget a Han Solo movie, do an Obi-Wan movie. Get Ewan McGregor back. He's, he hasn't outrightly denied his interest in reprising the role, and do something cool with him. I mean, there's 18 years on Tatooine where he's watching Luke grow up.
Right.
I'm sure you can make him do something cool, as he's getting old. I think that's the hope for the film. Conversely, he's the character we've seen the most of throughout the saga. He's in 6 movies. He's in the first 3 in some form or another, as well as all 3 prequels, obviously, in a major role.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen a lot of him. So there's the window again. It's just that year gap where he's on Tatooine, at least majority of the time. So I understand, narratively, that it for a fan it could be a lot of fun. I think the big takeaway is that Lucasfilm is continuing to play it safe with the anthology films. When we first heard about these things existing outside of the sequel trilogy of Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Episode 9, we were like, oh, this is a chance to do some like Tales from Jabba's Palace, like that awesome book where it told all these cool stories about side characters. And Star Wars is a big, crazy world. There's so much to see. No, This is still going to have the Force in it. There'll still be legacy characters. They're playing it safe because that's what makes money and that's what most fans attach to. And in a sense, that is disappointing because I would love to see any other aspect of the Star Wars world beyond something tangentially related to the Skywalkers. I get that criticism, but they're gonna play it safe. Kind of knew that. And Rogue One made $1 billion despite some production issues, and despite being connected to the trilogy, obviously with the Death Star. So, it's cool. I'm happy that they're doing Obi-Wan over other characters. Like apparently they're kicking the tires on some other ideas, namely Boba Fett, Yoda, and Jabba the Hutt. And I don't think any of those are actually feature films, except for probably Boba.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about Boba Fett is that he's mysterious. So I'd rather do something like Obi-Wan, who we already know so much about. Let's leave Boba alone.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, coming back to your point about them playing it safe, that was kind of my initial reaction. Was it kind of felt like, this isn't very inspired. But I think after the issues they've had with the Han Solo movie, there's probably some concerns about how that's going to come out, if it's going to really be as big of a hit as they probably expected. I think they wanted to go back to something that they felt was somewhat predictable, which, I mean, you can't really blame them. When it's a franchise like this, you can't take too many of these like side movies that don't pan out well before people are going to start saying like what's actually going on here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that point is echoed by the early talks with Steven Daldry, right? They felt burned by doing Chris Lord and Phil Miller, right? Or is it Phil Miller and Chris Lord? Lord Miller. They're unique filmmakers with their own sense, a little less proven. Steven Daldry has been nominated for Best Director 3 times. He recently did 4 episodes of The Crown. He's a classic actor, or classic director, similar to Ron Howard. So they're playing it safe in that regard. So it's predictable. But at the end of the day, it's Obi-Wan. And if they can get Ewan McGregor to come back for it, I'm still going to be stoked as hell to see it.
If they couldn't get one to play it.
Yeah, tough. I saw some people say like, maybe look at Taron Egerton. And I was like, no, I was too hard for Taron Egerton to be Han Solo. He cannot be Obi-Wan.
No way.
I couldn't even venture a solid guess. I just hope they get McGregor back. And again, they're not committed to making this movie yet. They're just entertaining the idea, thinking about it. So it's not like there's a script. So there's no guarantee.
What I was thinking and he looks a little bit young for the part, especially if he's playing Obi-Wan after Episode 3. But Andrew Garfield, after seeing him in Silence, he kind of had that Obi-Wan look going on. So just don't shave, just keep the long hair and the beard, and put the robes back on, bro.
We'll see if Garfield wants to go back to a franchise after Spider-Man kind of left him out to dry.
But he wouldn't necessarily have to stay in the franchise.
Oh yeah, it's true. The appeal of the anthology film is that it's exactly that. It's a one-off.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. We'll see.
Well, speaking of someone that is definitely not a one-off, Taylor Swift. Swiftie. I mean, man, it was all Eclipse talk today, which, I mean, I didn't have the glasses. I didn't see it. I know that you did. You said it was pretty cool, right?
It was really cool. The glasses, take away all the contrast from the sun. It is a really cool sight. I'm really excited to look at all the NASA professional photos.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. But Taylor Swift, it almost stole the day when she dropped a 10-second video of a snake in a dark room, just kind of slithering a little bit. I mean, some other news came out with it where the lyric site Genius posted Timeless, a title for an upcoming Taylor Swift single from a project called TS6, which is obviously just a placeholder for whatever the name of her next album will be. But I mean, Swift hasn't released an album, 3 years now? 1989 was 2014? 15. So, I mean, how do you feel about the return of T Swift?
We kind of been talking about it on and off for months, right? This is clearly the window. This fall is her chance. Adele and Beyonce just happened recently. Right. Katy Perry also kind of disappointed earlier. Lord's this is her chance for her as the pop star to just own another 6 months, year.
Mm-hmm.
Drake is out of the charts for the first time since Best I Ever Had debuted. So,
crazy.
It's just ripe for the taking for Taylor Swift to just dominate for the next, year and a half.
Crazy.
So I'm not surprised at all. But it's funny that she used a serpent because when everyone emoji bombed her after Kim and Kanye showed the receipts, they used a snake emoji.
We'll see. I mean, Taylor Swift always like woke. At least she's at least tuned into what's going on. Do you? We didn't talk about this, but did you buy that rumor that she snuck out of her own house in like a suitcase?
I saw it. Plausible. But, yeah, plausible. Oh, 1981 was 2014, by the way. You were right. So,
okay.
3 years coming up this fall.
That's the longest she's had between albums too. So,
yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about it, like you said, on and off. We know Taylor Swift's schedule. We will be talking about it on Nowstalgia Pod. Check out all of our past pods, soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod. Stay plug in. Taylor Swift will most likely not release her, or actually she probably will release her music on Apple Music. But when that's where she releases her music for streaming.
Yeah, she like made up with some of the streaming people. Yeah,
it's on Spotify now too, right? All of her stuff.
Yeah, she just had to get on her high horse for a little bit. You know, we've talked about that before, but yeah, it's available.
Apple trying to cut into the content making business, putting $1 billion towards creating content in 2018. I mean, it seems like a little late for them to be jumping in, but I don't know. Dave, Apple Music, are you in or out on them creating their own content?
Yeah, good point. So since the news broke that they were plan to drop $1 billion on original programming, analysts have kind of refocused everyone that this should be seen as a play against Spotify, who they're lagging behind in terms of subscribers, not a play against Netflix or Amazon. This is not Apple becoming, the next Hulu or something, right?
Right.
Netflix spent $6 billion on content. Amazon spent $4.5 billion. Apple spending $1 billion is not moving the needle. But that's not what they're trying to do. This is really just a play at Spotify, where they're about 23 million subscribers behind. It's about 50 million to 27 million. And analysts say that if they can add 7 to 8 million Apple Music subscribers off of this boost in content, they'll drive people to the platform and hopefully subscribe, they'd recoup that $1 billion in 3 years. Wow. So that's the thought. Again, we have to see what kind of content it is. Obviously, they'll attract talent. They already get more exclusive deals or timed exclusives with their service, but not necessarily driving subscribers. Spotify still dominates, and titles obviously, barely a factor.
Right.
So it is interesting, and I'm interested to see what kind of content this is, whether it's stuff that they put on the Beats One, or if it really is like original shows that's on through Apple Music. So interesting, but it's not an attack on Netflix or Amazon, obviously.
It's interesting. I didn't know that Apple was the one that was producing full-length carpool karaoke episodes, the one where it's like 23 minutes long. Which I think is actually a really interesting space for them to try to go into. If you're going to be mostly a music service, but then you're going to be offering this extra content as a way to entice new subscribers, it seems like a really smart venue.
Yeah, it's interesting because, that almost seems like an attack on YouTube, trying to get some viral aspects on their site that cost money. Spotify doesn't have anything like that, so in theory it could work, but I'm just not sure how much this actually will move the needle in terms of getting people to pay for Apple Music that weren't already planning on paying for it. So,
right.
Too early to tell.
Real quick. I think someone's ringing my doorbell. Do you mind if I just go check real quick?
No, that's fine.
All right, sorry. Quick timeout.
I'll just fill some time. Yeah, if you didn't know, this is Nowstalgia. This is our 77th episode. We've been going since... Oh, Pat's back already.
Well, whoever that was went away, so...
Cool.
I think they got screwed themselves. All right. Well, jumping off of Apple Music into some albums that we listened to over the weekend should too. Let's start with ASAP Ferg, Dave. What's his name? Donald Ferguson? I don't know.
No,
I'm pretty sure
that's not his real name.
It's something like that.
It is Ferguson. Yeah, let me look it up.
It's Daryl Ferguson.
Ferguson.
Sorry,
the Ferginator.
This is his second album in 2 years. Still striving. It's
mixtape.
Follow up to what was it?
Always strive and
Oh
prosper.
yeah, always strive and prosper. That's what it is. And interesting. I didn't really like this album that much.
Yeah, it's well, it's again, it's a mixtape, so lower expectations. But it's Ferg
Come on.
it's Ferg attempting to get back to the trapboard sound, but
Right.
not really pushing it that far. So it's just like okay. Always Strive and Prosper. He took a lot of risks, like that Missy Elliott song "Strive," like dancey. He had Skrillex on there. You know, he went in a lot of different directions, and it actually kind of mixed results for a lot of people. So this is kind of him just going more back to what he knows and what he was really good at on Trapboard. But nothing really jumps out on the page that much, despite a great feature list. So I think it's totally okay.
Yeah, that's actually the thing that I was going to say I did like is that there are a lot of really good features on this album, and I thought they fit in pretty well. But I don't think I like trap rap music. You know, it's not my favorite style, and the content just doesn't really.
Less Migos.
Right. Well, yeah, and that Lollapalooza video of Migos was amazing. The crowd was lit, dude.
I'm so excited for the Meadows, dude. I'm more excited to see Migos than I am to see Jay-Z, and I don't even fucking care who knows. Like, I'm so excited.
Well, I think that is an appropriate reaction if you're tuning to music at all right now. So yeah, I listened to the Grizzly Bear album, Painted Ruins. Grizzly Bear's first album since Shields, which a lot of people really enjoyed back in 2014. Yeah, and Grizzly Bear, they're just a really good band. People call them chamber pop rock music. It's just a very full sound. I'm trying to think who would be a good comparison to them. Nothing's really coming to mind. They really make very beautiful music. They're all great musicians, very layered, complex. And this album is very chill, which I like. You know, I really like to listen to music I can just kind of vibe out to, don't get too up, too down. And this is a great album for that. There's not really maybe one song that stands out to me. But if I had to recommend one, which I think you might even enjoy, Dave, it's a song. I'm trying to pull it up here. My phone decided not to work all of a sudden.
What kind of rock is this exactly?
Think like Explosions in the Sky, but more mainstream.
Mainstream as in pop.
And it's a little bit pop, but you probably know their hit 2 weeks. But Morning Sound off this and Neighbors I also really like. I don't know. I don't think if you don't like rock music, you're going to tune into this, Dave. But overall, just a really beautiful album. Put it on while you drive, smoke weed, enjoy it.
You going to put a song on the playlist, our Spotify playlist that you can find at soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod?
Yeah. Well, I'll probably put Morning Sound on there. It seems to be their biggest hit from this album. But ASAP Ferg, I mean, do you want to put one of his songs on there? Which one would you recommend?
I think the beginning actually is pretty decent. The first song with Meek Mill is pretty good, but the Migos song kind of whatever.
Right.
The Cardi song is pretty whatever. So, it's okay. There's a lot worse rap albums this year or rap projects this year, but it's forgettable.
Definitely, and we have a lot of hopefully memorable music coming up. We're going to be talking about it on upcoming pods. We have ASAP Mob, Action Bronson, XXX, Tentacion,
if we're being honest.
Fifth Harmony, are they officially Fourth Harmony now?
No, I just call them that. This is their first album without Camila Cabello.
Yeah. War on Drugs, Brockhampton, and Made in Tayo. So,
Tokyo that crack. So
who is Made in Tokyo?
Uber everywhere. Gotcha. XXL Freshman 2017.
Well, I'm really excited for Fourth Harmony Drugs. Actually, I checked out that Brockhampton song, Junkie. Very interesting.
Brockhampton is really, really something. Saturation, first album came out in April. Saturation 2 comes out this Friday, like everything else we just mentioned. And they are a rap boy band, is what they call themselves. Their frontman, Kevin Abstract, is a openly gay rapper, and he does not mince words about when he's getting head from his boyfriend. Stuff like that's pretty funny. But overall, they are really unique sound and really play with a lot of good stuff. And also, when they rap, they fucking really rap hard. So I really recommend people listen to Saturation and then definitely tune in to Saturation 2 this Friday. They're awesome.
Yeah, that song Junkie was really intense. I'm definitely going to check out Saturation before I listen to Saturation 2. But Dave, you saw a movie this weekend, Soderbergh movie. It has a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, but only opened with $8.1 million behind the Ryan Reynolds movie and Annabelle Creation or something like that.
Horror movies have a really solid floor, as we've talked about before.
They do.
So I'm not
crazy.
surprised by that. Hitman's Bodyguard with Samuel L. Jackson Reynolds getting the $20 million. Good for them. Cheap movie. Get your money back. Cool. But yes, it's been a really bad August. If you read some box office forecasts, you can go read a lot into that. It's been a bad August. But yeah, debuting under 10 despite critical buzz really, really hurts. But it's a really fun movie. Really well done. Steven Soderbergh is probably the least famous prolific director of our time, I'd say. Just because he's made so many great movies, but no one, the average person's like, who's Steven Soderbergh? They don't think of
Ocean's 11, man.
The Ocean's trilogy, Contagion, Magic Mike, Traffic, Haywire, Aaron Brockovich. He's done so many different kinds of movies, and adding Logan Lucky in there, which is like a redneck caper film in West Virginia. Really fun, and the cast is just out of this world, and he has such a good track record with big casts. Obviously, the Ocean's movies more above all else. Adam Driver and Channing Tatum are brothers. They're the ones who planned this robbery. Their sister, Riley Keough, we saw her in Mad Max Fury Road. She's actually the eldest grandchild of Elvis Presley, which I thought was pretty interesting. And Daniel Craig is this bank robber guy that they get to help them pull off the heist, and having fun doing a non-serious role, because he's definitely relishing that, because he's been a brooding Bond for so long.
Right.
Seth MacFarlane's in there, Katie Holmes is in there, Hilary Swank is in there. There's a really, I cannot stress how great Martin joke in the scene is. Spoil it, but it's worth watching me because this joke is so spot on, so poignant, and so relevant that it made everything for me. But overall, it's just a really fun movie, and it kind of subverts expectations here and there. And I definitely recommend people check it out.
Yeah, it seems like he's the Brad Stevens of directors right now. Like, he can take all these pieces and just get the best out of them in different ways, depending on the situation, and really accentuate what they're good at, and just let them have a lot of fun with it. And I'm definitely going to check this movie out when I get a chance. The list of movies that I want to see is stacking up at this point. And I'm planning to go see Good Time, but at least right at the top, based on what everybody I know that's seen it has said about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm stoked to see Good Time too. It's still expanding its release, so check if it's around where you guys are listening at home.
I mean, if you had to, I know that you love the Game of Thrones joke in this movie, but would you say that this is maybe Soderbergh's funniest movie?
Say that again?
Would you say that this is maybe Soderbergh's funniest?
It's up there. Yeah, it's in the running. It's not strictly a comedy by any means, but yeah, I think it's up there.
Yeah, I mean, Oceans has some good moments, but from what I've seen you tweeting about and some other people on Twitter, it seems like people really like what they took away were the comedy parts from this.
Yeah.
I think we're lagging pretty bad at this point, right? Can I wrap it up? All right. Well, Dave, thank you for your review of Logan Lucky. Definitely going to check it out. We'll be talking about Good Time, lots of music next week, Game of Thrones, series finale. We're kind of swamped for the next couple weeks. I'm really excited. LCD Sound System dropped a single, and their album's coming out in two weeks at this point. So a lot of stuff to be talking about. Check all of our past pods out, soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod. Subscribe to our Spotify playlist. Subscribe on YouTube here. Follow Dave at Martin Swagger. Follow me at Sheen World Peace. And follow the pod at Nowstalgia Pod. At you every Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on when we get the pod out. And we try to bring what you want. So tweet at us and let us know what we can improve on, what you want to hear.
Yeah, do that.
And I think we'll see you next week. Any last thoughts, Dave?
A lot of music to get to.
Yeah. The culture, it's ramping back up.
Peace.
Peace out.